Very kind, young people. You're very kind. Listen, the folks up top, you really can come down, and I won't give a shit if you need to leave through that door anytime during the reading. For real, because you're looking mad awkward up there. So, and I'm not even remotely pretty, so you shouldn't be even scared to come down here. Yeah, I don't think there's any of those worries. So, if you wish, but I know the youth, you know. Y'all will anchor your asses up there rather than to grab attention. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Yeah, I wanted to thank the college for having me. Professor, thank you so much for your introduction. Wanted to thank the departments, the organizations that helped bring me. Rhonda did a tremendous, she stayed on my ass this entire time. She knows I'm one of those dudes who sometimes I forget, you know, but she made sure that I wasn't forgetting this shit. So that's the way it works. You know, I wanted to thank all of y'all who made the time to come and have a little chat with an artist. Yeah, it's sort of a strange thing to do. It's no longer part of our normal day to spend time talking about arts. It's one of the first things that goes by the wayside, yeah. And considering that how much art has to do with our lives or how much our lives have to do with art, it's a nice sacrifice you all made, so thank you. And I guess my real question, though, even though I'm here as an artist, I also teach down the road. So I was wondering how many of you guys are here because they're faculty members were like, yo, you got to come to this fucking thing. So you raise your hand if you're like here for a class. Come on, man, it ain't just two of you. Let's get some guts up in here, yeah? How many again? Raise your hands. Yeah, that's a little braver. It's fucked up the things we make you guys do, right? I'm a big fan. I force my students to do all sorts of shit, you know? I really don't give a damn because, you know, you guys won't get any access to art unless we kind of twist your arm up. Well, in this case, with my kids, is you twist their grade, because you really can't, you can't lay a hand on them or nothing, but you tell them it's like, oh, it's an extra credit, them cats will line up. Yeah? So even those of you who are here involuntarily, yeah, thank you for your presence. And you know, we'll be as humane as possible. We'll try to make do. We'll try to make this a gentle relationship, yeah? So probably the way it'll work is we'll do a short reading, yeah? And then we'll take some Q&A. And then that should be about all we need, right? And the shorter, the better. You will not get, listen to y'all. Those are my cousins. Say no, you know? But for real, you know, for those of you, who's a first-year Boston person? Yeah? Little do you first-year Boston people know that it ain't going to get much better than this out here. So enjoy these perfect days. Yeah? It's these perfect days that keep you alive when it's like 30 below. All right? So I guess it's interesting, and I thought this thing was off. Sorry, I thought this whole thing was off. So let me just turn this off for you. Sorry. Yeah, okay. I should give you just a couple of prefatory remarks by way of, I don't know if introduction, but more like of entree, of entrance. Sort of, I come from a Dominican immigrant family. My parents were illegal, you know, very practical family. Most immigrants come to the United States, certainly not to play. The ethos in my family was insane work from probably the age of 11 and on. I'm a member of 5, there's 5 siblings. I think from 11 and on, we all held on and off 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs at a time. I worked my way full-time all the way through college, and I actually, when I went to grad school, I was like I had 3 jobs. I was even the caterer for the department. So these little fucking events, I'd be setting up the carrots, you know? It's like, and I say this by way of, for me to become an artist, to dream of being an artist, to pursue the arts was probably as unusual as it would be for any of you trying to explain to your family and peers what a life in the arts might be like. I think that one of the extraordinary things was that as a writer, the path that brings me here to talk to you, sort of went through this very strange thing where if you're an immigrant and you're from what we call a humble background, yeah, many of the hopes and dreams of your family sometimes rest very heavily on the children. So most of the siblings most of the young people who have immigrant parents, especially if they figure out that you're somehow smart, you're this little pony that every motherfucker is they're gonna attach the chariot of all their expectations to you. And more than the difficulty of the arts, because as you know, the artistic conventions are very demanding. We're talking about the United States. To do anything in fiction and to do it well requires an enormous amount of skill. This is a country that does a lot of things very poorly, but literature is not one of them. You know, it's sort of like Major League fucking baseball. Yeah, it does a couple things really good, and it does that. To come to this point required for me sort of the kind of decisions that I found very, very hard. When I was your age, I dreamed of being an artist. I dreamed of being a writer. But it wasn't until I was about 26 or 27 where I could finally start to really pursue it in any way. Because in some ways, my family's hopes, my family's dreams for me were, for the most part of my teens and 20s, more important than my own dreams. And when I come to colleges and I see a lot of young faces out there, it's so interesting because I think about who I was when I was like 19, 20, 21, you know, going to classes in between work. And had anyone told me that I would end up really pursuing an art full time, I think I would have laughed at them. Because my parents' dreams I actually thought were mine. And it wasn't until much later that I discovered that there was a difference. Yeah. So I say this just by sort of a way of saying hello and sort of giving you a little context of who I am as an artist. And then what I'm going to do is just read a little bit, take some questions, and then finish off with another reading. Yeah. So, did y'all watch the debate last night? Yes? Yes? Dude, are we insane? Does anybody think like we're insane as a country? Has anybody reached that point? Yo, I wonder, how many of the young people saw it? If you're under 25 and saw it, raise your hand. Yo, what did you guys think, man? What'd you think?
I thought it was, I expected more excitement. I just got very abstract answers throughout the entire thing.
Okay.
I was not satisfied, to be honest.
All right. How about, who was the young person over there who saw it? Who saw this as well? Sir, what did you think? Okay. Hold on, that's that. Yeah. Huh. I'm like, you know, I'm a crazy left-wing person, so you get the idea. But I don't know, man. I was watching that debate, and I'm like, we're really crazy as a country. So that's what passes for a presidential debate? Did anyone think that at all? I've had like tougher arguments with my boys over the Yankees, you know what I'm saying? And these cats want to fucking run the country, man. So, I don't know, I was wondering if I was the only one, and I kept thinking that I had, about halfway through the debate, you start to think like, if this is like a trick. Yeah? And McCain, he is like mad, yo. Did anybody notice he did not look at Obama like once? Yo, why is he so angry? You know? So, no, but I meant it for real. If Obama acted like that, they would have been like, that's an angry Negro. You know? So, yeah. Yeah. But he like wouldn't look at him. His body language was like crazy stank. It was very weird. But you should think about this one, though. If you ever get a chance to ask the candidate something, I was hoping that Obama would get just straight up on him and say, like, just forget some of the issues and get some at some of the nonsense. Have you seen any of the commercials where they have Obama's pictures, the Republicans? Yeah. And they make him like 4 shades darker skin. Have you seen this? They like will shadow one side of his face so that he looks even darker, yo. And I was hoping he was gonna ask them, he's like, yo, I'm a pretty motherfucker. Why are you trying to make me look like a thug? You know? Like, he's a pretty dude, yo. He's a pretty fucking dude, yo. And I would be dope if he'd asked him, like, why are you trying to make me look like a thug? You know? I mean, I'm not a thug. You could say whatever you want, but... Huh? Yeah. No, they got him... I watched the commercials. He's like 5 shades darker than... I'm like... Bueno. So now I can read less. It's just a short piece, yeah? You don't need to know much about it. It is from, not from the novel, and it's in the second person, yeah? The you in this is like a Dominican guy in his 20s, yeah? And that's probably all you need to know. And it's set, of course, in New Jersey. It's called Alma. You, Junior, have a girlfriend named Alma who has a long, tender horse neck and a big Dominican ass that seems to exist in a 4th dimension beyond jeans. An ass that could drag the moon out of orbit, an ass she never liked before she met you. Ain't a day that passes that you do not want to press your face against that ass or bite the delicate sliding tendons of her neck. You love how Alma shivers when you bite her, how she fights you with those arms that are so skinny they belong on an after-school special. Alma is a Mason Gross student, one of those Sonic Youth comic book reading alternatinas without whom you might never... They're making me dark, son. Oh, shit. Yo. AV is wildin', yo. There's little to be said. How much y'all pay to go to this school? But for real, it's like 40 G's. More? 50. 50 G's, guys. Alma is a Mason Gross student, one of those Sonic Youth comic book reading alternatinas without whom you might never have lost your virginity. She grew up in Hoboken, part of the Latino community that got its heart burnt out in the 80s, tenements turning to flames. She spent nearly every one of her teenage days on the Lower East Side and thought that it would be always her home. But then both NYU and Columbia rejected her, and she ended up farther from the city than before. Alma is in a painting phase, and the people she paints are the color of mold. Look like they've just been dredged up from the bottom of a lake. Her last painting was of you, slouching against a front door. Only your frowning, I had a lousy third world childhood and all I got was this shitty attitude, eyes recognizable. Alma did give you one huge forearm though. I told you, she whispered, that I would get the muscles in. The past couple of weeks, now that the warm is here, Alma has abandoned the black, started wearing these nothing dresses that feel like they're made out of tissue paper, wouldn't take more than a strong wind to undress her. She says she does it for you. And when you see her on the street flaunting, you know exactly what every nigger that walks by is thinking because you are thinking it too. Alma is slender as a reed. You are a steroid-addicted block. Alma loves driving. You love books. Alma owns a Saturn. You have no points on your license. Alma's nails are too dirty for cooking. Your spaghetti con pollo is the best in the land. You are so very different. Alma rolls her eyes every time you turn on the news, says that she cannot stand politics. She will not even call herself Hispanic. She brags to her girls that you're a real Dominican, even though on the Plátano Index, you would not even rank a 3. You brag to your boys, that she has more albums than any of them does, and that she says terrible white girl things while you fuck. Alma is more adventurous in bed than any girlfriend that you have ever had. On your first date, she asked you, I apologize, there's like a very young person, close your ears. Yes. On your first date, she asked you if you wanted to come on her face or her tits. And maybe during boy training, you did not get one of the memos because you were like, neither. Yeah? Yes. Yes, it is an opposites. Yes, it is an opposites attract sort of thing. It is a great sex sort of thing. It is a no thinking sort of thing. It is wonderful, wonderful. Until one June day, Alma also discovers that you are fucking this beautiful freshman girl named Lakshmi. Discovers the fucking of Lakshmi because Alma, your girlfriend, opens up your journal and reads. She waits for you on the front stoop, and when you pull up in her Saturn and notice your journal in her hand, your heart plunges through you like a fat bandit through a hangman's trap. You take your time turning off the car. You are overwhelmed by a pelagic sadness. Sadness at being caught. Sadness at the uncontrovertible knowledge that Alma will never forgive you. You stare at her incredible legs, and between them, to that even more incredible popola that you have loved so inconstantly these last 2 years. Only when Alma starts walking over in anger do you get out of the car. You dance across the lawn, powered by the last fumes of your outrageous sinvergüencería. Hey, muñeca, you say, prevaricating to the end. When Alma starts shrieking at you, you ask her, darling, whatever is the matter? She calls you a cocksucker, a punk motherfucker, and a fake-ass Dominican. She claims you have a little penis, no penis, and worst of all, that you like curried pussy, which really is unfair, you try to explain, since Lakshmi is technically from Guyana, but Alma is not listening. Instead of lowering your head and copping to it like a man, you pick up the journal as one might hold a baby's beshattered diaper, as one might pinch a recently benutted condom. You glance at the offending pages, and then you look at Alma and smile a smile your dissembling face will remember for the rest of your life. Baby, you say, baby, this is part of my novel. And this is how you lose her. Thank you so much. One last short piece, Q&A. Yeah. Y'all laughing for no reason. Just like, ah! Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Yeah. I'm hoping y'all are going to be better than my students. Yeah, when it comes to question time, the little fuckers never raise their hands. MIT. They're like, we don't speak, so we shall see if we can summon a quorum. Yeah? Oh no, we're not ready yet, but you're dope. Just one more small reading, yeah? Then you may wake up and clap. It is called Wildwood, yeah? It's again in the second person, except the you this time is a 12-year-old Dominican girl in New Jersey, yeah? Living with her mother and her brother, Oscar. Her mother's Belicia, but the names are not that important, okay? And I don't know, for those of you who have been a 12-year-old gal or who had a sister who was a 12-year-old, you know how crazy those years are. Yeah, those are the years. In some ways, those are the years where it all begins. Yeah, I mean, that's what I always thought. All right, Wildwood. It's never the changes we want that change everything. This is how it all starts, with your mother calling you into the bathroom. You will remember what you were doing at that precise moment for the rest of your life. You were reading Watership Down, and the rabbits were making their dash for the boat, and you did not want to stop reading. But then your mother called again, louder, her "I am not fucking around" voice, and you mumbled irritably, "Si, señora." Your mother was standing in front of the medicine cabinet mirror, naked from the waist up, her bra slung around her like a torn sail, the scar on her back as vast and inconsolable as a sea. You want to return to your book, to pretend that you had not heard her, but it is too late. Her eyes meet yours, the same big smoky eyes that you will have in the future. "Ven acá," she commands. She is frowning at something on one of her breasts. For the record, your mother's breasts are immensities, one of the wonders of the world. The only ones that you've seen that are bigger are in nudie magazines and on really fat ladies. They are 36 triple Ds, and the areolas are as big as saucers and as black as pitch. And at their edges are fierce little hairs that sometimes your mother plucks and sometimes she does not. These breasts have always embarrassed you, and when you walk in public with her, you are always conscious of them. After her face and her hair, her chest is what she is most proud of. Your father, your mother likes to brag, could never get enough of these. But given the fact that your dad ran off on her after the 3rd year in marriage, it seemed in the end he could, yeah? You dread conversations with your mother, those one-sided dressing downs. You figured that your mother has called you into the bathroom to give you another earful about your diet. Your mother is convinced that if you eat more plátanos, you will suddenly acquire her same extraordinary, train-wrecking secondary sex characteristics. Even at that age, you were nothing if not your mother's daughter. You were 12 years old and already as tall as she was. A long, slender-necked ibis of a girl. You had her green eyes, clearer though, and her straight hair, which makes you look more Hindu than Dominican, and a behind that the boys have not stopped talking about since the 5th grade, but whose appeal you do not yet understand. You have her complexion too, which means that you are dark. But for all of your similarities, the tides of inheritance have yet to reach your chest. You have only the slightest hint of breast. From most angles, you are as flat as a board. And you're thinking that your mother is going to order you to stop wearing bras again because, in her words, they are suffocating your potential breasts, discouraging them from developing. You are ready to argue with your mother to the death because you are as possessive of your new bras as you are of the pads that you can now buy yourself. But no, your mother does not say a word about eating more plátanos. Instead, she takes your right hand and guides you. Your mother is rough in all things, but this time she is gentle. You did not think her capable of it. Do you feel that? She asks you. At first, all you feel is the heat of her and the density of that tissue, like a bread that has never stopped rising. She kneads your fingers into her. You're as close as the two of you have ever been, and what you will remember will be her breathing. Don't you feel that? She turns towards you. Coño, muchacha del diablo, stop looking at me and feel. So, of course, you close your eyes and your fingers are pushing down, and of course, you are thinking of Helen Keller and how when you were a little girl, you wanted to be just like Helen Keller, except a little more nunnish, yeah? And then suddenly, without warning, you do feel something. A knot just beneath the skin, tight, secretive as a plot. And at that moment, for reasons you will never quite understand, you are overcome by the feeling, the premonition that something in your life is about to change. You become lightheaded. You can feel a throbbing in your blood, a rhythm, a drum. Bright lights zoom through you like photon torpedoes, like comets. You do not know how or why you know this thing, but that you know it cannot be doubted. It is exhilarating. For as long as you have been alive, you have had bruja ways. Even your mother will begrudge you that much. Hija de Liborio, your mother called you after you picked your Díaz winning lottery number, and you assumed that Liborio was a relative. That was before you started going back to Santo Domingo, before you found out about the great power of God. I feel it, you say too loudly. Lo siento. And like that, everything changes. Before the winter is out, the doctors remove the breast that you were needing, along with the axillary lymph nodes. Because of the operations, your mother will have trouble lifting her arms over her head for the rest of her life. Her hair begins to fall out because of the chemo, and one day she pulls what's left out herself and puts it inside of a plastic bag. You change too. Not right away, but it happens. And it is in that bathroom where it all begins, where you begin. That's all. Thank you. So